Hey guys, I'm at the Pikeville Cemetery in Pikeville, Kentucky. I'm here at the grave of Octavia Hatcher. She is she's the wife of James Hatcher. They were married in 1889. He was a very successful, very successful individual here in the Pikeville area. And Pikeville's here below us. This is kind of the site of the Hatfield-McCoy group feud. But we're sitting way up here on top of the downtown, as you can see in the cemetery with the Pikeville Orthopedic College over there. But anyways, back to James and Octavia. They were married in 1889, and their marriage would be really brief, and it would only produce one son, Jacob, who died shortly after being born. And Jacob is right here. Jacob's burial is right here. You can see the little baby resting on the bed there. And then James, buried here. Octavia, right over there. So like I said, they lost their son really early. And like I said, infant mortality in this area was pretty high. The baby's death led to a super big depression and an illness that would eventually end Octavia's own life. Jacob died in January 1891. Octavia took to the bed, likely suffering from depression. She grew ill over the next few months, slipping into a coma which she could not be awakened from, and she was pronounced dead of unknown causes on May 2nd, 1891. The spring was hot, and embalming was not really that common at this time. So, you know, it's hot season. You don't waste any time burying somebody. So the quick funeral, and Octavia was laid to rest. Several days later, others began exhibiting similar symptoms to Octavia's illness. The bite of a certain fly, known as a testy fly, brought about a sleeping sickness. And a lot of those other people started awakening after being in a coma-like state, similar to Octavia. Hatcher and his family began to worry that maybe Octavia had, that was her illness. And, they were worried about her shallow breathing and everything, and comatose, and, maybe her breathing was so shallow that she'd actually not been dead, and she had been buried alive. Hatcher secured some emergency exhumation and uncovered a really horrific sight at the raising of the coffin. The casket Octavia had been buried in had not been airtight. She had awoken from her sleep to find herself trapped beneath the ground. In a panic, she had torn at the lining of her lid of her coffin. Her body, when they had found it, all her nails were bloodied. Her face was, contorted in terror, from her trying to escape from the grave. But this time she was actually truly dead this time. Her body was reburied. Of course, James, you bury your wife and she's still alive. He was never the same, so he built this lifelike monument here on top, missing a hand. Walk around here real quick. He built this lifelike monument to Octavia to be built over her grave. At one time, the statue held a baby, and the baby was representing, Jacob, their son that had died. He built the Hatcher Hotel at such an angle that he could look up to the cemetery and see his wife, so she could look down on him. And there's the hotel, I believe, or where it used to stand. The legend was born, really following the statue's completion. Vandals have obviously invaded this lot, and they broke the arm holding the baby. And now the infant lies here on the ground. So, like I said, this baby here was actually being held at one time by the mother in her arms. So it's still kind of together. In the 1990s, the Hatcher family erected a fence around the plot, and you can see that here now to attempt future vandalism. And then the statue was placed on this newer marble base to protect it. So the statue used to be on the ground, but now it's quite a bit higher, harder to get to. With any story like this, a lot of the residents in the area, they say they hear sounds of a kitten crying come from the area. They can hear a woman screaming, muffled, from like underground. So it's quite a story. So there's the grave of Octavia J. Hatcher, wife of James Hatcher in Pikeville, Kentucky. She was buried alive. They buried her when she was in a comatose state and thought she had died. Octavia J., daughter of Jacob and Paige Smith, wife of James Hatcher, died May 2nd, 1891, after 28 years, 11 months, and 11 days. Jacob, their infant son, died January 4th, 1891, age 4 days. Quite a story. Here in this cemetery, I can't think of anything more scary than probably being buried alive. Guys, the grave of Octavia Hatcher.